my lovelies. Today I'm going to be showing you how to wire wrap a love heart. I am by no means an expert. I've only done 2 pendants previously and they were both nice simple ovals. However, I have been asked to do a little tutorial video and I'm not one to shy away from challenges, so here we are. What I'm using for this is one of the gold white love hearts I made from my 1:1 Apex resin, and I used the metallic powders in these, the metallic mica powders, and they were from About at Amazon, and I will link to everything in the description below this video. So I'm going to use this. You're going to need a tape measure, a nice soft flexible one. My favourite one here is from Crochet and Knit as well, and I love this because it's got KP on, which is my initials. It's meant for Knit Pro, but it's my initials, so I love it even more. And of course a little sheep, what's not to love. I've got my jewellery wire. This one is 28 gauge, nice and thin and very, very flexible. Flexible is key, okay? That's the best advice I can give you. The more flexible it is, the easier it is to shape how you want it and work with. And I've also got an 18 gauge, which is a lot thicker. As you can see, it's nice and sturdy. That's what we want. Okay, both of these came from Amazon. I will link again in the description below for you. So what we do first, we take our tape measure, and you've got to measure around your heart of your pendant, whatever one it is you're doing. So we're going to go in inches. So for that one, we've got 1 inch there, turn it slightly, 2 inches there, 2 1/4 to the point, 3 3/4 up to there, and we've got 4 1/2 almost at the middle. So if I say 4 3/4 inches, because you're better to round up than down. Alright, so we've got 4 3/4 inches. So what you want to do is double that. So we're going to say, I would go to, I think 9 1/2 inches, I think I'm going to go to. I think for this, or I'll just do the 10 actually. So let's go with 10. I'd rather have too much than too little. So you straighten it out. I do have some lovely straightening pliers with rubber at the ends, and it's brilliant for getting kinks out and everything else. But we have actually had to empty our loft because we're having some work done, insulation and things put in. So all of the boxes are in front of all of my shelves in my little space in the back garage. So I can't get to them. So I've got to make do with what I've got here, sadly. Okay, so we're going to measure out 10 inches of the thick 18 gauge wire and straighten it as much as I can by hand. It's all about making do. So there we go, 10 inches is there. So I'm just going to get my snips and cut that to 10 inches. And then what we want to do is get a second piece at 10 inches and snip that. And then we want piece number 3 at 10 inches. Straighten that out as best we can. So it just wants to curl on its own as well. Okay, so we'll snip that. And what you want aiming for when you're doing these, you want to aim for them to be roughly the thickness of whatever pendant you're working with, because if they're too thin, they're not going to hold it very well. So I'm just going to do this and have a look and make sure that that is going to be, the 3 is going to be enough. Yeah, I am quite happy with the 3. So then what we want to do is get our last piece, a long piece. We want to add 2 inches onto whatever measurement we've gone for. So we are going to go 12 inches on this one. So just straighten it out as best I can with my fingers. I really am missing these other pliers. I used to do jewellery making quite a lot years ago, so I have got all of these left over from them. And yeah, I'm definitely missing my rubber ends. to straighten all the kinks out. They just make life so much easier. And just get the 12 measured as closely, well, get it as straight as I can. Look, this one really wants to bend. It's the thing when they're coming off the reel, isn't it? So we're about there. Snip that in. Okie dokie. Get everything out of the way. Get my reels out of the way. Oh, that one anyway. Okay. And that's a nice long piece there. So actually, I think looking at this, let me put the one in the middle, and then I might only need the 3 and not the 4. Let me just check. I might have, it's not going to waste if I've cut one too many. I've got plenty of these to be wrapping. So that'll be going in the middle. I think I do just want the 3 because I'm imagining it with all the wire wrapped around this as well on the base. Let me have a look. Right. Sorry, I was completely off camera there. So hold them together like that. Get them as flat as you can. And just have a look at your edge. Yeah, I need 3, not 4. So I'm going to put the spare piece away. So what you want to do is cut your 2 at 10 inches. And then 1 at 12 inches. And that's what we're doing for this particular piece. Because it measured between 4.5 and 4 3/4. So I've rounded up and done it as 10, because you want to double whatever your measurement is around, you want to double it. And your middle piece always wants to be a good 2 inches longer than the rest of your pieces, as a rule of thumb. Now, before you try this yourself, I will recommend this amazing bit of kit. Okay, it's a wire clamp or a jewellery clamp. Very hard to get hold of in the UK. I found some on Etsy, but shipping to the UK was astronomical. I very luckily, after quite a lot of research online, found this from a British company called Metal Clay Limited. Absolute godsend, because when you're trying to learn wire wrapping and you're fiddling about trying to hold it in your hands and you're trying not to get them all crossed and messed up over each other, and you're working with quite bendy curly wire that wants, you know, it wants to curl up in its own way anyway, you need a third hand, and it's nigh on impossible. I really struggled with it. I threw about my first 3 attempts, went in the bin, and I was just like, oh, this isn't for me. And then I saw a video where she was using one of these clamps, and absolute game changer. So I'm definitely going to link to them underneath the video for you. You need to get yourself one of these before you try your wire wrapping. You might be more dexterous than me and you might manage it, but honestly, if you're remotely like me or you just want to make life a little bit easier, you need one of these clamps. Not affiliated in any way, not going to earn anything from you clicking the link, but just giving you a good sound bit of advice. So we'll get our 2 short pieces either side and our long 12-inch piece in the middle. Okay, now what we want to do is we want this to be in the middle when we've finished the wire wrapping. So I think we're going to need our tape measure just one more time. And I think I'm going to go, if I get the hat, if I look at 1/2 inch that way and 1/2 inch that way, I think that's how much I want to wrap on the hat. So we're going to go for 1 inch. So if you take 1 inch off your 10, that leaves you 9. So that's 4.5 inches either side of the wrap. 1/2 inch, so we can start at the very beginning, and when we finish, we've got it nice and central. So I want to be 4 inches in from one of the shorter 10-inch pieces. So I measure my 4 inches there. That is where I want my clamp to be, right there. Okay, because then I know when I've done 1 inch that it's going to be bang smack in the middle of the wire for wrapping it around the hat, and it's not going to be lopsided. So I hope you understood all of that. So I've started with, I've measured 4 3/4 inches around the hat, which I doubled and rounded up to 10-inch pieces, made 2 of those. There's a long central piece that you're going to use for your twisting. That's 2 inches longer. So that was 12 inches. I want my initial wrapping around here, the base, to be 1 inch. So I took that off the 10 inch, left me 9 inches. I know it's going to be in, divide that by 2 is 4.5 to get your centre. I know that it's going to be 1 inch either side, so I've put my clamp at 4 inches in from the edge of the short pieces. Okay, so now we're ready to start. What I want to do here, I tend to just work off this reel. I don't tend to cut it because I just think you don't know how much you're going to use. I don't anyway. You can't quite work out what you're going to use. Straighten this, pull this out. It's got a few kinks in. So it's very, very thin to work with, very bendy. It's nice and easy to manipulate. So what we're going to do is, just to start, you've got your nice clamp here. So you can put it down and let go and it all just stays where you need it to be. It's amazing. So make sure your shorter piece is away from the direction you're going to be working in. So I'm right-handed. I'm starting from the left, going to the right. So my shorter piece is to the left. And then I'm going to make sure they're like that. I really, really wish I could straighten these out properly. It's such a bugbear. But anyway, sorry, I'll stop going on about it. It is what it is and I can't change it. So we are going to take our 28 gauge wire and we are just going to take it around the bottom piece. We are going to curl it around. And I'm going to curl it around about 3 times because I want a nice secure bit that's not going to unravel when we're done. Okay, so I paused it a little bit there because my daughter very, very kindly bought me a drink, which was very much appreciated. So now we're just going to get our flat pliers. Now we've wrapped it around I've done that about 5 times in the end actually. I'm just going to pinch it in, push it down and pinch it in to make sure I'm on the camera for you. I want this as tight as possible to start with because it's got to be nice and secure. So just pinch it around that first wire, nice and securely, really tight, and then we're good to go. Okay, so let's unravel quite a bit of wire even. Put my teeth in this morning. Okay, so put the hat out the way for a minute. We're going to wrap round the bottom one. So we're starting from the back and coming to the front, and we're going to do that all the time. That's the way we're working. So from the back of the top to the front of that bottom wire. Nice and snug. Try and get in as close as you can to what you've wrapped already. And then you're going to up the back, over the top of the second wire, and down the front to the bottom. Again, keep it as close as you can, snug it up as you go, just gently. And then we're going to go all the way up to the top, but we're just going to wrap around that top wire, not the bottom one. Not going to the bottom, just the top wire. And if you can see that nice and clearly, and I will try and get a zoomed in bit as we go, but you can always pause this and to see what I've done as well. So we've gone around the top wire, you're going to wrap up back round the back. Now we're going to bring it right down the front, okay, under the bottom one, and around and over the bottom, okay. And that's our first set done, basically. I'll spread them out just so you can see. Like that. So then we're going to get our nice flat pliers. We're going to very gently just snug all of these up to each other and maybe just squash them in so we're nice and tight, look. That's it. And now you're good to go again. So we're going to go round the bottom wire from the back to the front, and then we're going to up the back, round the top of the second wire, back down the front, snug them up, and then we're going to go up, over the back, up the back, over the top wire, and just around the top wire once, and then we're going to go up and down the front to the very bottom, and we're going to wrap over or around the bottom wire. Okay, and then we're going to snug it up, get the flat pliers, just gently push them together, squish them in a little bit. You're not squashing your wires so they're right together. You can see there is just a little bit of a gap there still. I'm not trying to get them absolutely flush with each other. Okay, and now you're good to go again. So you're going to wrap round the bottom wire, go flush as you can, up the back, come around to the front over that second wire, snug it up the back and around to the front on the top wire, up the back, around to the front and come down over all of them at the front, and then around the bottom wire. And don't worry about rushing, just take your time, make sure they're all nice and snug. Just push them up. See, I'm not having to move these very much at all because I'm taking my time and making sure that I'm putting them all nice and closely together as I go. And you just, at the end of every one, you're just giving it a lovely little, just a very, very gentle pinch. Just make sure you've got no loose bits sticking up, and just make sure it is nice and snug around your wires. Okay, and again, just around the bottom, from the back to the front, bring it down so it's next to all the previous wraps, up the back, over that middle wire, which is your longest wire. Again, bring it down to where you've previously wrapped, down the front, all the way up the back to the front, but just over the top wire, like that. You see, I'm keeping everything nice and snug as I work. Back up the back, down the front across all of the wires, and then just to finish, up the back and back round to the front on that bottom wire. And you get your flat pliers. There we go. Just push them down very gently, pinch them in, so flat on the top and the back, front and back, flat on the top and bottom. Look, just very gentle pinches. We're not trying to squeeze the life out of it. We're not trying to make anything go massively out of shape. Okay, so I'll show you one more time, and then you're just going to carry on doing this at your own pace until you've got an inch worth of wrapping. So we're going to go around the front, sorry, up the back, around the bottom one, back over the front, up the back, come in over your middle one, snug it up, down to the bottom, up the back across all three, around that top wire, snug it down before you give it a little tug, up the back, across all three at the front, snug it as you go, and then just to finish, you want to come round that bottom wire, snug them up, take your flat pliers, give them a very gentle push to make sure if you have got any gaps you can just close them in, squash gently front and back, squash very gently top and bottom, because you're not squishing it all in, you're not misshaping it, you're just securing it all. And then you carry on like that until this piece of wrapping measures an inch. Okay, so we've wrapped for an inch, and now we're just going to secure before we cut. I'm going to just pull these apart gently. Get your bottom one. We're going to wrap around the bottom one once, twice, 3, 4, 1 for good luck, 5, snug it in, and then just snip very, very closely to the wire, Helps you put your snips the right way, doesn't it? There we go. And then we're just going to get our flat nose ones and push it gently up the back, because that is going to be the inside, so we're not going to have that sticking out and scratching anybody. And it's halfway up the back, it's not going to be in the way, it's not going to hurt anybody. So we're just going to pinch it, squash it in nice and tight. And again, front ways, and just neaten up any wayward bits you might have loose. Okay, I'll put that down for a minute. Let's get our reel of 28 gauge out the way. Let's tidy it all up. Right, now we're going to get our hat. Okay then, so you're going to lay it flat. You're going to get the middle of where you've wrapped to the point of your hat, and you're going to bend the wire nice and snug around that hat. Can you see that? We're not going to pinch the point, because it's not a sharp point on this hat, it's quite a rounded one. You're just shaping your wire exactly to your hat. I'm going to bend it up like that, and you keep it laid flat at this bit, because this makes it easier. Okay, so what we're going to do is take our top short wire and bring that just across like that, so it's sitting out the way. And again with this top wire, bring it across this way, so it's sitting out the way. I'm going to very carefully flip it over and fit that back into there. Make sure we're still nice and snug. We're going to get our, what is now our top short wire, and bring that over this way, and our top short wire from here, and bring that over this way. Okay, and then just for now we're going to pinch these longer ones together like that, so that we're ready to start working. Okay, okay, so you've got those crossed over like that, so we're just going to flip it back to the front. Okay, and now what we're going to do is get our nice, get them in picture, nice round pliers. Okay, and we're going to start creating some lovely little curls. So we're going to, what we want is, make sure I'm in shot for you. So we're going to get this first top wire here, and you see where we just curve around on that very top shoulder bit there. I'm going to hold that there. I'm going to bring this across. So where we dip into the middle there, at the very centre top of the hat, I'm going to start to curl it there, but I want to just curl it gently around my thumb first. So I get the shape I want, like around the actual hat. Let's push that to the top. I want it to start curling around the shoulder, and then down the top there. Okay, and I'm going to get my curly wire, and I'm just going to bend that nicely there, very gently, look. We're going to give it a bit of a curl, a lovely little, holding it in place all the time. Take your time, and this is the part where you get to be as artistic or as plain as you want to be. I'm going to flatten that to the pendant. I'm going to bring this last little bit, and then what I'm going to do, holding everything in place, is bring it to the back and curl it over the back, look, just like that. Okay, just like that, curled it over the back. We will worry about that sharp bit in a bit. We're just going to get our design in first. Okay, so get that back over the top of the hat there. And then do the same with this one, so bring it down into the centre of the hat. Now what I want to do is get that wire underneath the piece that I've just curled, look. So I'm going to gently bring it under. You're going to hold that in place. This is the fiddliest bit. we're going to pull it through and then just gently shape it around the top of the hat. So as you can see, they're intertwined. This one's going underneath the first one that we did, and it's coming out to this side. Okay, can you see that? So we're just gonna curl that gently like we did before. Make sure they look a bit quite even. We're gonna bend it round again with our round pliers, just very, very gently. We've made our loop, push it down so it's flat to the pendant. I want to just even this up a bit. Let's pull it so it's about the same size as that one. And then we're going to gently curl that round to the back. Now as you can see, that's quite long, but I'm not worrying about that right now. We're just going to tuck that. I'm going to just snip it a little bit, I think, but otherwise just keep it tucked out of your way. So we're just going to snip that bit. Don't worry about this yet, we will get rid of those. Okay, so that's your front. So you've got that tucked in there to your point. You've got these lovely little swirls. So I'm going to very carefully flip it over. And we're going to do the same. So let's move that one out of the way for a minute with the back ones. So we are going to curl it and shape it around the shoulder of the hat, bring it down at the point, and then gently curl it around your thumb or finger. So you're going towards this side, get your round pliers, start forming your loop. They're quite near the edge on that side, weren't they? So they don't have to be exact, but just so it's similar. You just curl them round, make your little loop. Like that. Flatten it down to the pendant. Bring it round and then push it. Just wrap it towards the front for now. Let's get that up on the shoulder. That's it. And then bring that down there like that. To the front. And then we're going to get our other short piece, bring that up round the shoulder, down in the middle. We're going to push it underneath the wire we've just wrapped. Just hold that in place and gently pull this through, and then shape it around. Just bend it with your thumb as you're holding to bring it round like that. I can round my finger a little bit, just gently bend it, get the round pliers, make a loop, just gently twisting in one direction, like that's all you've got to do. Flatten it down to your pendant, make sure you're still snug around the shoulder, around the top of the hat, and then we're going to bring it and curl it around there. Like that. So as you can see now, we're quite secure. Look, we're not going anywhere. Okay. So now what we're going to do is just get this little bit here. And what we're going to do is just try and curl it under here. This is by far the trickiest part. Okay, but you're just going to get it like that and force it under those wires. Just like that, look, so it's just sitting under. All right, we're going to get our flat pliers and we're going to gently squeeze that in, and that's it. Look, it's underneath, it's not going anywhere, and it's not going to poke out and hurt anybody. Just gently squeeze that under, flatten it up to the edge of the charm, and then there's no sharp edge. And I'm going to do that around all the other sides, so the other 3 bits we've got coming around, and then we're good to start on the top. Okay, so I've got everything nice and secured, all of the ends are nicely out the way, there's nothing poking through. Okay, so what we're going to do now is just secure these 2 shoulder bits. All we're going to do is get our flat pliers and give these just a little gentle pinch towards each other. Look, right on that top shoulder of the hat or the top curve. Just a little gentle pinch together, just to make them want to stay in place. There we go, look, right to the centre. Okay, and that's it. So we've got that one. Bring that around there a little bit, just make sure it's all uniform. That's the long one we haven't played with yet. And turn it over. Oh, look, we've come loose there. Best sort that one, haven't we? Let's uncurl that and go again. Just curve us round. Go underneath the wire. That's it. Flat pliers. Just tease it under. Push it in. Squash it down. Oh. There we go. Nice and secure. Yeah, perfect. There we are, look. And then just, again, make sure you're nice and together at the top. So you're stuck there in the bottom. That's your cradle that holds it all in place. These are nice and snug around here. So now we're good to make the loop that is going to go over the necklace or the cord. So what we want to do first is lay it flat. Right, bring these two round so they meet in the middle. So decide what kind of gap you want. I'm happy with that one there. So give a good pinch, flat pliers. There you go, look, so you're dead centre. And then what we're going to do with this bit that stays slightly longer, it doesn't matter if you, excuse me, but the drink my daughter brought me was sugar-free Pepsi and it's repeating on me. So what we need to do, if you haven't got a longer piece, don't worry, this was just fluke. Ideally they should both be the same length. But anyway, I'm going to bring my longer piece. I'm going to hold these two together where I've pinched them in, just between finger and thumb. And I'm going to twist that once round, just like that. And then bring them so they lay flat together. That is just securing where you want your gap. That's all that is. And then you've got them coming up straight together like that. So now I can snip off my excess long bit because I do want them the same length. There we go, get rid of that. And then we're coming back in with our nice 28 gauge wire. Okay. I'm just going to snip a little bit of this because I know I don't need a lot. It's just a little bit. Put all that out of the way again. So there, I've not done a massive amount. I'm going to have leftover anyway. I've got lots of leftover little bits that I use on other bits of wire wrapping. You got them together, so just secure it in your hand like that. From the back, wrap your short bit around both of them, bring it up the back, and then we're going to get our pliers. And we're just going to bring this through the middle and wrap it round again. Securely starting is your fiddliest bit. It really is. I'm going to get that and pull that snug. So it just wants to pull up there now. Right. Okay, and I'm going to get that and just push it back towards the back. Bring it round. Squash that in. Give it a really good push. Snug it all up. You be a bit firm on this bit because you need that to stay. Now I can see here I've got a tiny little bit that's sticking out, so I'm just going to cut that flush with the wire. I'm going to get my flat pliers and just pinch all of this in, because you don't need any bits sticking out that are going to unravel or scratch anybody. Right, and that's that bit. Let's get that back in the middle like that, get that back over there. You will have time to tidy it all up, you really will, when you're done. Okay, so got that nice and secure, and we're ready to just go you can do patterns if you want, over 1, over 2, over 1. I'm just going to go over both of these together, just wrap round and round and round like this, keeping it all close together. Obviously you might want to go a bit slower because you're still getting used to it, but I know I'm really flush that there's nothing to push up there. So let's try and get that kink out there. Just wrap round. You've got to work out what kind of a curve you want. I know I want quite a big loop on this one, so I'm just going to keep going for a little while. Let's push it down snug. There we go, look, like that. So what have I got there? About 1/2 inch. Nearly 1 inch. So I actually think I've cut this wire pretty spot on for the length I wanted. So yeah, we're nearly at 1 inch. I'm just going to keep going until I run out of wire. I think that was a pretty good guesstimate there. Let's have a look. Yeah, I've made just about 1 inch of wrapping round. I'm going to get my flat pliers, squash that in nicely, give it a really tight pinch like that. And that has actually finished, that wire's finished on the back piece, which is perfect because when we curl it, it's going to go on the inside. Right, just make sure it's all nice and secure, no loose lumpy bits. Now, what you can do is get your little pinky finger or a pen or whatever you want and curl this round to make your loop. I'm a bit fancy because I've trapped myself to a pair of these. And you can get them on Amazon, and again, I will link under the video for you in the description. So you work out what size you want. I'm going to go for this one on the top. They're all different sizes, so they're absolutely perfect. So you get your flat piece. So make sure you've got your front on the top, the bit you want to be the front. I've had to say which I want to be the front actually, because that's the flat part of the pendant, but not a lot of white came through. And I actually think I prefer what should be the back. But then you've got that ridge there, which is still, but so I better do it that way, hadn't I? Even though I prefer the other side. This is the nice, smooth, pretty side. So you're going to get your flat part so that it's on the back of your work. And you're just going to do that, put it in, so you're kind of at the bottom of where you've been doing your winding, your wrapping, and curl it round like. It's that easy. And then take it out, flat pliers, and there you go, look, you've got your loop. How good is that? And that basically is it. So now what we're going to do is get our 2 pieces from the back. We're going to go round to the front. We're going to cross over, and we're going to go back round to the back. Cross over again, back to the front, cross over, and push them down the back. Okay, and then we're going to get our round pliers, and we are just going to do a little loop. Give it a cut. Just make these just a little bit shorter, so snip them on a nice flat edge. Just need enough to play with to be able to tuck them out the way. As you get your round pliers, and we are going to loop this under. Okay, pull it through while holding everything secure. And we're going to loop it back to the back. Just take your time. Curl it under and then get your really nice narrow snips. And we're going to literally go flush so that we're dead underneath that wire. And it is a bit fiddly because you're right underneath. Obviously you don't need any bits sticking out that are going to hurt anybody. And then get your flat pliers, just push it up like that, and just make sure there's nothing sticking out the front or back. And then we do the same again with this one. And there we have it. So there's your back. Just bring them to make that's moved a bit there, hasn't it? That loop needs to be squished in. I do want them to look the same if I can, so let's just give that a little squish so it's the same as the other one. Secure them a bit more. Push them tight. Push them down tight. You just got to just come around now and make sure everything's nice and secure after all that messing about. And here is your front. There you go. It's done. And that is very basic, but very simple wire wrapping. And it's not going anywhere. So you decide yourself which side you want. But it isn't going anywhere. It's nice and secure. Okay, so we'll be on to the glamour shots in a minute. And I just want to say thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, share. It really, really does help my tiny little channel. I'm on 55 subscribers at the moment. If I could hit that magic 100, I would be absolutely over the moon. All right, thank you very much. Bye. Coastal